So every pop since market open has been failing. Probably most traders already took a couple of losses here on these bottom reversals, but then you come down over here on the bottom and these passive buyers step in, the price moves very slow. So maybe it moves up, but you still get stopped out, break even, like on this little stop hunt. Let me show you in this order flow confirmation video how I would analyze this market and how I would look for an entry when every pop is failing already since the market opened. So let's get right into it. Alright everyone, so I'm going to go over my pre-market plan that I share on Discord, and I'm going to go over my order flow confirmation and the overall context of the market, what I waited for, which levels to get broken to then eventually look for long, because the market was selling off, every pop was failing. And then I'm going to show you the actual entry confirmation and how I manage the trade, take partials, and then eventually the full take profit. So let's get right into it. Alright, so right over here I write my pre-market plan. So I said here on the 22nd of January that I wanted to look for dips around 36 to the 16s to look for long, and also a continuation setup. And what is that? The 36 to the 16s was right here where we had this resistance from the pre-market till the 16s, which is more or less at the low. So I wanted to look in this whole area here for longs. Why is that? Well, this was previous resistance that we've broken out of with a lot of strong buying from the pre-market, which you can see here as well, which a lot is just cumulative volume delta was just uptrending, a lot of strong buying at that level. So I wanted to look for, if price pulled back there, I wanted to look for those same buyers to defend that level, and until like the 16s just to defend that low, because this was just a nice rally. Buyers were strong at that level, so I wanted to look at that whole range to look for buyers. And as well, an extra confirmation was, you can see here on the volume profile that looked a little bit weird on this day, I don't know why it glitched out, but you can see this area of lower volume, which was right around the 35 36s on top of this resistance from the pre-market. So that gave me an extra confirmation that this level was very strong and buyers rallied right out of it. So now that we know what levels to look for and where we want to buy from, let's go to the lower time frame here. I'm on the 1 minute, and we wanted to buy from the 36s to the 16s, right? So this is right over here. This is the whole area that I wanted to buy from. So you can see that as soon as price came into this level, we got a little pop, but nothing too significant. And then we went lower, we had this massive consolidation, which you can see here on the footprint as well, and just see how much selling there is trapped here at the lows. Like, look at all these sellers. If I just draw this little level over here, look at all of the selling that's trapped inside of this level. So you see all these sellers here, over here, all at the bottom of these footprint bars. All that selling is just unable to get past it, and they're all getting absorbed by passive buyers, which I'll show to you in a second on the Bookmap. And just that means is these people are trying to sell right at that level, and they're unable to break down price lower. Passive buyers are too strong and they're absorbing everything. So these people, they're not getting paid. Price is not moving down and they're selling. So as soon as price moves up, they're going to be in drawdown. And that means that once we do get that breakout above the 37s, which I'm going to show to you right over here, is that means they're going to be in a lot of pain, and that buying is showing their strength. And as soon as we start rallying up, they're probably going to get stopped out, and that means that their stops are buy orders, and we're going to start rallying more and more to the upside. That's just going to fuel a move up higher. So let's get it right into the order flow confirmation that I saw for this trade. So you see every pop was getting just sold into from market open, right? With a lot of heavy selling, and then we come right into that level around the 30s. This is the first moment that I saw the selling dwindle, right? So we got all that aggressive selling since market open, moving down, and then we come right into this area over here where there were a lot of passive buyers sitting and absorbing all that selling. You can see the limit orders over here, you can see more over here, you can see a very big one here, this dark red limit order at the bottom, sitting there absorbing price, and that moves a little bit to the right as well, and price didn't go lower than that. So that to me tells me there's these passive buyers that are very strong and they're supporting, and you can see them here sitting as well at the low of day, just protecting price. And for me, if every pop is getting sold into and I see that in real time, and we're almost an hour into market open and every pop is getting sold into, I'm gonna wait for a more significant high to get broken to then confirm the strength of buyers, so then I could look for a pullback to get in, so that I'm not like buying as a first buyer and trying to catch every bottom reversal, because I've taken way too many losses on days like that and I'm just done with it. So in this scenario, I wanted price to break above the 37s strongly, and that to me then confirms the strength of buyers, because every pop was getting sold into, and this is the most like recent lower high. And if buyers break above that, then I'd say, okay, strength is kind of confirmed right now, let me look for ways to get in, look for a pullback. That to me, then I look for areas of structure where sellers got absorbed, they got trapped, and then strong aggressive buying came right after that to push price to the upside. And that to me was around this area that I drew a box in, but also a little bit higher, like right over here. I look for this structure, I look for the structure on the order flow, right? So you can see the selling since market open, right? Look how heavy the selling is, and look at the size of the red bubbles. That's the size, that's the delta. The sellers are way stronger than all the buyers, and that's why they're so strong and they're pushing price down. Then we come to the low and they're getting getting absorbed, right? These buyers are absorbing all that selling, and every pullback that we have to the downside, the selling is getting smaller. So the sellers are running out of steam, they're running out of fuel to then break the market to the downside. So look, compare the size of these red bubbles to the size of these red bubbles and these ones. So you can see here already sellers are running out of juice and they're not able to bring down price lower, and then that aggressive buying starts to step in. So this to me confirmed that the buyers were stronger than the sellers in this area. And then I was like, all right, we broke above this most recent lower high that made the low of day. Let me look if there's a pullback into this area to then look around the 34s to like the 30s for a long position with a stop right at the 28. Protect myself. I do not want price to go lower than the 28. So that would be the whole thesis around it. So let me show you now in real time how it will play out. All right, so I'm going to play the book map here in a little bit of speed so it goes a little bit quicker. But as you can see, we broke above that and we get this very impulsive move down. Supposedly aggressive selling right into that box that I drew, and right into this structure here at the 31s, 32s, where sellers tried, they failed. We held the higher low and then we broke above with a lot of strong buying. And then you have this little consolidation area where sellers tried again, but they completely failed. Selling was very weak, and then we broke above that, right? So we're coming right into this structure. Now we're ready to look for longs, right? So get this impulsive move down, which I actually prefer. If we get that impulsive move down and everything else is correct, the location, the context is good, and then the confirmation on top of that is good as well. I prefer when there's an impulsive move down, I prefer to long against that. When it's slowly grinding down, I actually do not like that much, because that means the sellers are kind of working their way down, absorbing all the buying, and I usually don't like that when these impulsive moves happen. That's what I actually prefer. So got some heavy selling coming in here. They're trying to break down once again. Now we got our last hope here is this for this higher low to hold and for that selling to get absorbed again. And now we just need aggressive buying to step in, and that's our cue to get in long. That's all we need. And these bids, look at that. Bids are popping up again here. Got filled right at this same exact level that I saw, and these are trying to support price now. Another bid is popping up over here to again support price. Now we got some buying coming in. Yes, the selling is not there anymore. The selling is again dwindling. This pullback should hold right now, and then as soon as buyers start to step in again, that's your cue to get long. So right over here, boom. This is where you get long at the 32s. This is a great confirmation where you can see the sellers come in, they break down price. These bids are popping up out of nowhere inside of that area. Then they absorb that selling, and right after buying starts stepping in, more bids pop up to then eventually support price. If price would pull back, then you get more aggressive buying starting to step in. This is your cue to get long at 32 with a 4-point stop loss at the 28s, like I said. And let me now show you how I would manage the trade. So we had VWAP. So this is where you get long, right? This is where you get long at the 32s with a stop at the 28s. And you had VWAP right over here. That's where I would consider taking profits. Not maybe a full target, but I would seriously consider maybe taking 50% off, maybe taking 80% off if you want this to be like a quicker scalp, and just be happy with almost a 3-hour trade. And that's seriously what I would do. I would take 50 to 80% off and then have some targets like not high day. That's not what I would do personally, but I would target maybe this previous support that can now turn into resistance. I would target maybe that, which you can see it hit as well around the 50s to the 52s. They all hit, and then eventually we started supporting above VWAP. So then you're in this trade. Let me speed it up. You're in this trade, and then price starts to rally, which is just, this is like a perfect A+ setup for me, where you see the trapped sellers and then you see the strength of the buyers. So the strength is confirmed. Then you wait for a pullback with more absorption, and then you take that long, targeting VWAP, targeting previous support that can now be turned into resistance, structure points, and that's good. This is like an immediate break even. Like you enter right over here at 25 past 4 for me, and then you immediately rally up to this recent high. That's where I would personally go break even already, because that's like 10 points, and that's literally 3 minutes later. So this is immediate break even. VWAP was right here at the 42s. So after 3 minutes, you're break even. You took some partials already, and now you can just let the rest ride for a more larger target, because there is very strong buying. There is momentum. We are now here above VWAP, supporting above VWAP as well. And you can see now that the script has flipped. The buyers are coming in strong, and every pullback you see heavy selling that's getting absorbed, and then we rally up higher again. So instead of in the beginning of the market open every pop was getting sold into, now every dip is getting bought up, and you can see this, the buying is relentless and slowly grinding up, absorbing all that selling. So that's the trade. Beautiful trade. This is an A+ setup in my book. You can see that here on the footprint as well. This is where you would have entered your trade. When we pulled back, you can see more absorption here of all that selling, and you enter like this, and that's just this area where all these sellers were absorbed. Once we pull back, they get absorbed once again, and that buying just defends it. This is a beautiful trade and just very clean order flow execution, and that's how I would analyze it. If every pop is getting sold into, don't try and be a first buyer. I've taken hundreds of losses like that, and now I just wait for that recent structure where I would feel like if buyers are able to break above that, well, then I think the strength is confirmed and I could start looking for pullback. But I'm not going to be a first buyer in these scenarios anymore and in this context. And that's what helps me now avoid many losses. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, please. It really helps me out. And I hope you enjoyed the video and took something out of it. And I'll see you in the next one.